This is a 1991 Talbot Express campervan, but just how good is it as a campervan in 2026? Well, to find out, we're going to be taking it for its first outing of the season on a little impromptu trip into the New Forest to find out what it's like to drive, what it's like to live with, and most importantly, what it's like to sleep in. So let's hit the road. First of all, big steering wheel, and that is because of the lack of power steering in this vehicle. So consequently it feels a bit like a bus to drive, and it handles like one as well. The other thing to note is it doesn't have fuel injection either. We are back to an old-fashioned choke on this engine, which is a 2-litre petrol, and she's a thirsty girl. So our first stop will be the petrol station. It's probably going to be quite an expensive one because this thing also only runs on premium unleaded. After I'd given all of my money to the man at the petrol station, we continued on our way. So as for what it's like to drive, well, it's very utilitarian. As I mentioned earlier, obviously no power steering or fuel injection, so it's a good old-fashioned carburettor engine on this one. But that's okay, it's all part of the experience really. I quite enjoy being back to basics in these sorts of vehicles, as you will know from my whole sort of channel ethos. So this vehicle fits in very well with what we're all about here at Robotaking. As for the Talbot Express van in itself, of course, it was designed fundamentally to be a works vehicle. But I think it was actually rather more advanced than a works vehicle. It was quite nice to see, for example, that you've got nice sort of tartan door cards, which is a nice attention to detail there, which you wouldn't have got on many other vans at the time. And of course, you do have a lot of space in this van. You would have had 3 abreast seating in here, for example, on the standard van, but of course its conversion to an auto sleeper Harmony, in this case, has meant that we've got 2 captain's swivel seats up here in the front, which can swivel round to sort of extend the usable area that you have in the back in terms of living space. It's certainly becoming a classic in so many ways as when you see another Talbot Express motorhome out and about, when you're in your Talbot Express motorhome, you of course give them the trusty Talbot owner's wave, as you would with any classic car nowadays. You do sit very high up though, which is quite a pleasing thing. You get a nice commanding driving position over everybody else, which is always quite a welcome thing, I think, especially in a van. And a lot of the last remaining Talbot Express vehicles on the road, in fact I'd probably go as far as to say all of them now, the ones that are left, are just campervans. Now this is an encounter that is all too common in the New Forest. Of course you are going to get the herds of deer. I'm just going to make sure there aren't any more before I plough into any deer to get any dinner tonight. We don't really want to be having roadkill. We've brought some burgers instead, so I think you'd probably prefer that. But yeah, you do have to be careful on these roads, especially the tree-lined wooded areas of which we are camping in tonight. But that's one of the things I like about this area. You're surrounded by wildlife, so don't be surprised if you wake up, open the curtains and see a horse peering in through the window, as has happened to us before in the past. Is he letting me through? No, he's going through. Okay. He did thank me. We'll give him a wave. Right, more choke. Come on, van. Up you go. There we go. You see, that makes all the difference. It's just a more immersive driving experience driving this thing. I love it. Anyway, back to what I was saying. When it wasn't such an immersive driving experience, well, arguably it was, in that I had to get out and push. Which was interesting on a single track lane, but luckily there was a cemetery not too far from where we broke down, so we pushed it probably about 100 yards or so, I'd say, up the road, and got it to safety. It turned out that the coils had packed up. Pun definitely intended there, by the way. The coil pack had gone, so there was nothing that the AA man could do, unfortunately. In the end, it had to be recovered back to our local garage, who then sorted it out. But touch wood, it has all been okay ever since. And that, to be fair to it, that's the only time that we've ever had any grief from this van, isn't it? We've taken it all the way down to the West Country, all the way down to Devon, been down to Cornwall in it, even up to Lincolnshire in it for the Festival of the Unexceptional, where it was quite well received. There were lots of people. Even another person turned up in an older Camelot Talbot Express on a G-Reg, which I wasn't expecting, and that was a sort of in progress restoration, which was quite interesting to see. But this van's never really wanted for anything. It's had a bit of welding, as they all do end up needing, and it is why you can pick up a van like this one for very, very little these days. I mean, if you enjoy spending your evenings perusing the offerings of Facebook Marketplace, like I often do, you'll see a lot of these vans appearing on there for a couple of grand with all this stuff on board. It's amazing the value for money you can really get out of these vans. And on the higher end, I mean, you've got this one as a completely unrestored example. It's only done 56,000 miles, and it's been in our family for probably 7 or 8 years, I think. So that 8,000 miles is probably from us. But basically, a nice low mileage Talbot Express camper van such as this one will probably only set you back sort of 4 or 5 grand for a decent one. Or if you were going up on the upper end for a Minter, the top end you'd probably really pay for these is 6 or 7. So I mean, really, the bang for your buck is unrivaled. You've got room to stand, got a bathroom, you've got hot water. Well, not in this case, but we'll get onto that later. Anyway, let's open her up a bit now that we've got onto some nice B roads and enjoy the drive. Right, and here we are at Hollands Wood. Right, okay. Oh, let's just ignore that. Yep, there's a very strict 5 mile an hour speed policy on this site, so oh, we won't be breaking that, will we? No, no, no. Sorry, that's immature of me. Let's be mature and go and find a pitch. And that is the beauty of this site. You can just pitch up anywhere. As you can see, these vans, these lesser vans, have been pitched up just anywhere that they feel like pitching up, basically. As long as you're not within 6 meters of another person's camp, then you're free to roam. It looks like somebody's converted a Luton there. But I mean, this is a factory conversion, so we're step above that, really. Right, she said we couldn't go down there because there's a bog down there. So it's either down there or just down. Should we go down where those ponies are? Yeah. I think this is similar to where we went last time, I think. It is. Actually, yeah. Oh, potholes. Yeah, it's a bit off the beaten track, but as you can see, we are completely surrounded by nature, which is lovely. It's one of the reasons we like this campsite, actually. Yes, no, I think, why don't we go just over here, actually, as long as we're not going to get stuck in a bog, which she did warn us about. There have been some misfortunate caravanners which have had to be towed out of the designated no-go zones, which they have blocked off, yet people still decide to ignore. So let's reverse in here, because this looks like a nice flat bit of ground. That's another thing that it's always easier if you can just find a pitch that's already flat to save having to get the ramps out. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the beauty of this campsite is that you can pitch up practically anywhere that you like. However, what that does mean is no electrical hookup. But no matter, because underneath your seat, the leisure battery has been charging up on the entire drive here. Which means we should have plenty of electricity for an overnight stay, plus gas, which will run the fridge and the hob, which, as you can see here, is hidden underneath this countertop. We also have a sink unit here, which has hot and cold running water, although the hot water is out of action at the moment, as unfortunately the boiler, as you can see up here, we did discover there was a wasp's nest inside, just behind it, sort of under there. Now, we have removed said wasp's nest, however, it has left certain bits of the boiler slightly susceptible to fire risk. So until we get that sorted, it is going to be a cold water only sort of system. But that's not a matter. We can make do with cold water for one night. That's a problem to sort out for another day. We've also got plenty of cupboard space up here for all of your cooking essentials. Close that. Matches, like the hob, be needing those in a minute. And there is a full set of crockery just above my head here, which is very handy and adds a touch of class to the overall camping experience. This is this van's trump card, right? You ready? It has a fully fitted bathroom. You've got your light, you've got even your own vent, basin, hot and cold water comes out of that, and toilet, but we won't be using that because that's a faff setup, so we're going to leave that. As for the rest, we have this very sophisticated setup here, 12 volt for the electrics, and a water pump is activated there. We don't need that currently. You've even got a gauge there for your water level, and a fluorescent light. Very 70s indeed. Right, what say we crack on with our next test, which is dinner. So I actually had to get temporary insurance to be able to drive this van. And as it turns out, it's quite difficult to get temporary insurance on a vehicle that is classified as a motorhome or has been converted. So I ended up paying quite a lot of money, as well as obviously factoring my age. I am 23 years old. So the only policy I could find was with Adrian Flux. So thank you to them for actually making this possible. It's not a sponsored video, by the way. I just want to say that. And it did cost me an arm and a leg. I'm not joking. For the same money that we paid to stay here, we could have stayed at the Barmalon Hotel, which is next door. So that is puts it into perspective a little bit, factoring in all things considered, the insurance, the night's stay here. I mean, it only costs, 27 quid to come here out of season. And it's only just opened up. This is the first weekend that it's been open of the season. So there's not many people here. But it's nice in a way because we don't often get the chance to come here out of season. Anyway, we're going to settle down for the night now and get the van into sleeping mode, which involves quite a lot of messing around with this seating area. So wish us luck. So I'm going to start by pushing that one all the way forward. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So all this floor space that we've opened up here can now become the bed. Bring that out there. So that slides out to be the centre. Table goes in the middle. One of these fits on here, and then the other side goes on there. And there we have it, a fully functioning bed. Now, it's not the comfiest of mattresses, this per se, as it is just literally the seat cushions from the van, as you would travel with normally. But to be honest, it's not bad. I've slept on worse. Certainly sleeping on the ground outside on the canvas is not as plush as this, so I'm not complaining there. And even though this van is 35 years old, it still has all of the luxuries you would expect of a modern camper van. So this van has been sold under a wide variety of different names, but fundamentally all the same Fiat Ducato underpinnings underneath. And it is great fun to drive. I mean, even on this, the climate controller's got air recirculation, which you won't find on my 2004 LDV Pilot, for example. A whole 13 years on, an LDV hadn't got that sorted. So it is, in a way, quite a sophisticated van for the time. Just lacking those easier amenities like power steering, which we take as standard on all vans these days. But But no, I mean, we can sleep here in comfort tonight, I think, knowing that dinner was a success, and we can enjoy some nice forest breezes coming through with the fly net to screen us from those unwanted bugs that the lights will inevitably attract. So with that verdict in mind, I'm gonna close the curtains in a second and bed down for the night and see how good of a night's sleep that we get, because it has been a while since we've slept in this thing. So wish us luck. Good morning to you all. We have just awoken from an uninterrupted and very peaceful night's sleep in the Talbot. What we're going to do is pretty soon we're going to get up, get mobilised and head into Lyndhurst to see if we can find ourselves a spot of lunch. So I'm going to get the van sorted out and put it back into day mode, set all the chairs up, and then, as I say, we'll hit the road. Well, here concludes an end to our successful camping expedition into the New Forest. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this in the future. And thank you very much once again for watching. See you next time.